Good afternoon, colleagues and members of the community. Welcome to the Senate Standing Committee on Public Utilities, Transportation, and Communications. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Senate Rule 8, Section 7, and in compliance with the Open Government Act. For the record, today is Wednesday, February 11, 2026. The time is 1:37. And is being held in the Senate chamber of the Vice Speaker Jesus P. Mafnas Memorial Building, Capitol Hill, Saipan. The Senate Standing Committee on Public Utilities, Transportation, and Communication will now come to order. Before we proceed with the next item on the agenda, I would like to recognize our Legislative Bureau staff assisting our committee today, our legal counsel, Ms. Antoinette Villagomez, Legislative Assistant, Mr. Devin Macaronas, assisting with IT, Mr. John Diaz, Media, Mr. L.J. Castro. And to keep our meetings in order, we have Sergeant at Arms Dilong Guerrero. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo.
Present.
Senator Manny Gregory T. Castro.
Estiga.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz.
Here.
Senator Jude U. Hofschneider.
Peggy.
Senator Karina L. Magofnia.
Present.
Senator Donald M. Magonian.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, all 6 members are present.
Let the record reflect that a quorum is present. Members, you have the agenda for today's committee meeting. The chair will entertain any motion for adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of signifying by saying aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. The agenda is adopted. We'll now proceed to public comment. Members of the public wishing to testify requested to state the name for record. Oral testimony received at this time must be related to the items on the agenda. Written testimony submitted prior to the meeting will be made part of the official record. Seeing that there are no members of the public wishing to testify, the public comment period is hereby closed. Moving along to new business. First on the agenda is House Bill 24-5, House Draft 1, to establish provisions for jaywalking and for other purposes. Are there any motions or discussions regarding this measure? Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Chair. I'm not certain the citations of all the codes, but I'm just reading the context of the legislation, which is I am in support. But I'm wondering if there's going to be a need for a provision to explicitly identify who will be enforcing this particular violation. There are some expenditure authority being designated, including the distribution of fines, but if the citations of the code right now indicates that it's a department, then I stand corrected. But otherwise, I think it will be better if we can make it clear and maybe translate that to, in addition to identifying as Title 9, Division 5, Chapter 4, Subsection 5404, just put it down and mention the agency that is tasked to enforce this. That's all my discussion, and I guess it's open for further discussion. You back. Thank you.
Any other members? Recognize Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is in regards to the exception. We want to make sure that the exception is specifically stated here, or because there is the secondary road, and we want to make sure that there is no mark on secondary road, to make sure, because it's stating at any areas that is and any was that intersection, no? That it is controlled by traffic signal, traffic lights, but there's also intersection at the secondary and there's no traffic. So we want to make sure that the bill is very clear, so that the general public will be completely understand which area that you cannot cross. Because I know there's also a secondary road like dirt road and there's intersection, and I don't know dirt road if there's a possibility to put the auto pane crosswalk. So we want to make sure that it's very clear in this bill, so that the people, like I said, the people will not be confused of this violation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you back.
Any other member? Recognize Senator Covell.
Thank you, Chairman. I do support the bill in knowing, we have a lot of, we have the tourism out there, and we're committed to ensuring their safety as well as our locals. I do agree with the two members that we just got to make sure that the enforcement and the education portion is adhered to. I know it did mention that the funding source and the collection fee will go to Public Works 50%, or actually it says here the fine would be an offense of $100. So in exception to all the payment, 60% of all fine collected pursuant to this act, 50% of that will go to Department of Public Work to help repair and maintain the crosswalks and signage and markings. So probably to assist with the upgrade of the crosswalks and everything. Then another 50% will be given to the Department of Public Safety for the enforcement part. So then it says the remaining 40 will be deposited in the general fund. So it kind of breaks it down, knowing that, this is law enforcement that is to enact, but to ensure that we do give time for the public to be educated for the purpose of this in place. So I do support that, and to ensure that, who's in charge of it. Thank you.
Recognize Senator Manglonia.
Thank you, Chair. I think my issue with this is the fines may be too steep. I mean, it seems like the initial the bill started off with having different offenses. We have first, second, and third offense, but the House draft 1 kind of struck those out and just have a flat rate of $100 per violation. I think maybe this is something that we can also, if the committee and the members are going to move forward with this legislation, that we kind of provide for a tiered or a schedule fee, maybe in terms of years it's being implemented. Like we can start off at a certain amount, and then it goes up from there, or maybe just establish a ceiling and allow for DPS to establish the rates. I think the $100 is kind of far off from some of the other citations that motorists get. For example, like failing to use a seatbelt, which I think is far less than this $100. Maybe it could be a fine payable up to $100, but then allow for DPS to establish the regulations and set the value for these fines. Other than that, I agree with Senator Cruz. The exception to this statute is kind of contradicting, or it's not clear. But I know that the author has tried to introduce this over the past few terms. I think it is something that the committee should still consider, given that there has been several accidents and incidents where pedestrians were struck and may have lost their lives. And so I just wanted to point out that those two things that I think the committee should consider if we are to move forward with this bill. Thank you.
Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Yeah, a couple of things, Chair, and I stand corrected about my earlier comments. It is designated, the enforcement part. I didn't see it in the first go around, simply because it should stand out more so, because it's a good legislation. I do want to ask if we get any comments from the traffic section of the Department of Public Safety, or from DPW for that matter, because there are some elements or there are some instances within the community, especially in the congested area, that although there's designated crosswalk, we still see people. So I mean, if the enforcement agency is not around, I mean, how are we addressing that? Because the hazard is still exists when that should happen. So unless we don't see that necessary for us to get comments from DPS, I'm in support of it, but I just think that some of the questions that are being raised, provisions that could be problematic, are counterproductive as to what this bill is actually asking for. Primarily page 2, line 12 to 14. You're back.
Council, I did bring up this same concern with Senator Cruz, and which Senator Cruz just brought up. But can you give your advice on this? It looks like it can be a conflict in court, because it kind of contradicts from page 2, line 4 to line 14. In one part it says it shall be unlawful to cross unless it's officially designated a crosswalk, or if there's a control signals or police officer. But then the exception, it says, in the absence of that, pedestrians may cross the street in a safe and reasonable manner. So can you just give us your take on this?
Whether it's a conflict, is that the question? This is for jaywalking, so we already have a law that says you can't cross the street. You have to cross the street where there's a crosswalk. So this bill attempts to establish jaywalking or make it, create a penalty for jaywalking, and it basically says, again, same thing, that, it shall be unlawful to cross any road at any point, between adjacent intersections that are controlled by traffic control signal or police, except in an officially designated crosswalk, provided that all officially designated crosswalks shall have identifiable signs that are properly erected and visible. So that's the restriction. And then it provides for an exception in the case where there is no officially designated or visible crosswalk. Pedestrians may cross the street in a safe and reasonable manner. So I guess the exception is considering instances where there is no crosswalk, because I don't think there's crosswalks on all the roads in Saipan, or the islands. So basically the exception is just, okay, if there's a crosswalk, use it, but if there's not a crosswalk that you can see that's visible, then you can cross it so long as, it's safe and you cross it with a reasonable manner. I don't find a conflict.
I think the concern is that they can always argue in court that, you know, I thought it was safe to cross. And so
For me, if there either there is a crosswalk or there isn't, but I guess they can argue that they didn't see it. Is that what you're saying? I guess that's what they have to. That's going to be the question for a court to decide whether or not it was the person should. It's reasonable for that person to have seen it or not.
So,
think,
recognize Senator
I think,
Cruz.
what I'm trying to say here is a secondary road that is nothing. I think DPW should be putting up sign that you can cross on those that don't have any crosswalk at a cautious manner, but there's no sign, and there's especially secondary roads sometimes became a highway because it's a lot are paved, and the motorists are sometimes they speed up and they're not following the speed limit. So this is a no legislation. I'm supporting it just to make sure that it's completely educate the people as to the intent of this bill, because I think we should educate the pedestrian. I'm not saying that we're gonna wait until somebody get into an accident, but what I'm trying to say is, I think even with the one, it says that if the sign is not the crosswalk is not visible, they can cross on a safely manner. No, but I think it's like we're allowing it. Although that's the crosswalk is fading, they can go ahead rather than having DPW, be very, serious about signs and crosswalk paintings, because if we just allowing it to go ahead and cross, if it's fading, it's like we're not really serious about the safety of the people. So I'm just trying to find a way, an idea that we can be more clear to our general public, so that they don't just get cited out there by law enforcement and they're not really, it is not very clear. So maybe for us we can understand it completely, but I'm just trying to find ways how to really explain it, because there's some intersection, there's some crosswalk that are fading, and we're not gonna allow that to tell them go ahead and cross because it's fading. So something that will also send message to DPW to make sure that all crosswalks are very clear and all signs are there to to guide this pedestrian when crossing the road. And Mr. Chairman, if I may, in regards to the percentage, I think like we should start doing a very clear distribution, no? Because when you say 50%, 50%, sometimes we think like, and it is only 100%, but I know that's 50% of 60, but it doesn't say that. But why can't we just put here 30%, 30%? Why it has to be 50%? I don't know why it's done like this. If you say 50%, 50% is like 100%. But I know in 10 is 50% of the 60, right? But why can't we just put 30% and 30% for, right? So it's very clear. What do you think, Council?
Either one works.
That's what I'm looking if these are 140% distribution. So it's just I don't know how is this the way supposed to be when you break it down. It has to be like 30-30, right?
One way, but
Because if you're saying 50, you cannot just we cannot just say everybody will understand that 50 out of the 60. But if you break it down to 30%, that's a very clear that you only get 30% of the 60, right? Right?
well, I guess because 60% shall be deposited into the
Yeah, I know.
walking special account, and then the 40% shall be deposited in the general fund.
No, because there is 50% for the expenditure authority. So for the what do you call this? For DPS, and 50% for the under the expenditure authority of DPW. So what I'm saying, why not break it down to 30-30?
Because there's two different accounts, they're creating two different accounts.
I know. But the 50% is breakdown 50% of 60, right?
Yes, you're correct, but there are two different accounts. So
I know.
that's why
DPS and DPW. So if you look at it,
no general fund.
no, that
No, there's two main accounts, and then one of the main account has sub-account.
Yes. So the 50-50 are the sub-accounts.
50 and
Sub-account.
so 40% for the bottom is a different account.
Yes, general fund.
Yeah.
That's why.
Out of the 100%, right? This is what talking about 100%, right?
So out of the 100%, 60 will go to the jaywalking account, and then 40% will go to the general
Yeah.
fund.
Yeah.
Then under the jaywalking account, that's again split 50.
Yeah, but the 60% you break it down to these two account, right? The DPW and DPS.
No, I think it's just one account, different expenditure authority.
It's just here.
To the sub-account.
It's just 60% of all fines collected pursuant to this act should be deposited into the jaywalking special account to be used as follows. So that means these two. So that means 50% of the 60. But why can't they just put 30%? Because each 30% each.
It's a quick fix.
Right.
Yeah, we can.
It's not really 30%. It's
Because if you say 50-50, that's 100. And what happened to the 40%? Yeah, you need another 40%.
It's 30, 40.
30 and 40 is 100, eh? Right? Even here in this committee, we're getting confused already. Yeah, no,
There's only two accounts.
Huh?
That's why it's two accounts.
I know. The DPW should get 30% and DPS 30% out of the 60.
Then if that's the case, we don't need.
No, I'm just trying to make it very clear, eh? Because I'm thinking about they're getting all the 100%, and then there's another 40% on the bottom.
Yeah, it should be. We can change that.
Diba? No, you need that.
I understand.
Senator Cruz, do you
No, just to
yield?
make sure that the DPS and Public Works is not thinking about getting a 50% from the all collected fines. So we have to be very clear here that they're only getting 30%, right?
Yeah, you don't need to create a jaywalking.
No, I'm just very
The
been
sub-account
very.
makes sense if not the entire portion.
Senator Cruz,
Feedback,
you,
Mr. Chairman. I'm
okay,
sorry.
I recognize Vice President Karina Magofnia.
Thank you, Chairman. So I just wanted to say that I support the intent of the bill. And I understand the reason for the amendment. It's basically a deterrent bill to ensure the safety of the public, which are specifically the pedestrians who are crossing the roads. As we all know, there's been a lot of accidents lately, to include this morning, which led to a very tragic outcome, and or the more reason why we need this legislation in place. But there are some ambiguities, as some of the members have already raised, and one of them is I know Senator Donald mentioned the uh, the penalty fee might be a little bit too steep. So perhaps maybe the committee can consider a scheduling fee, as Senator Donald recommended, maybe for each offense. So maybe the first offense could be just a warning, and if caught again, then maybe that's where we can have the fee schedule, right, depending on the number of times this person has violated this law. So that's something for the committee to consider. I wanted to ask if, and I don't know if it was already asked earlier, but did we get any comments from the relevant stakeholders such as DPS, DPW, AG? Did we receive any comments for this legislation?
Vice President, in regards to the two bills that we solicited comments, we only got, to my understanding, we only got one from fire, but that was in relation to the next gen legislation.
Okay. Okay. And I guess, uh, on the surface, right, like Senator Cruz, the breakdown of the collections can be confusing if you're not really paying attention. Because I understand that the penalty will be broken into two accounts, which is the special account for jaywalking and the general fund. And then out of the jaywalking account, 50% will be given to DPS and the other 50 will be to DPW. I'm not sure why we are even putting money into the general fund for the rest of the members to appropriate. I think that any penalty fees collected from these particular violations should remain in the special account to be deviated between the two government entities that are sort of responsible for this. So for me, I would recommend that we remove the 40% from the general fund and just allow the two entities to take whatever fees are being collected from these violations. And then also it's not clear, maybe it's an internal process, but it's not clear how frequent the transfers are made from this special account. I don't even know how much we collect on an annual basis from jaywalking. So maybe that's something that just for tracking purposes, we want to make sure that whatever monies that are being collected for this violation, that it's transferred, I guess either monthly or quarterly. So no questions on the bill, just recommendations to probably get better feedback from the committee members as to how we want to move with this bill. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Vice President. Are there any motions regarding House Bill 24-5, House Draft 1? Motions?
I think, well, before I offer a motion, Mr. Chair, maybe I think we should just take out the exception and just do something along the lines of having something strictly for primary roads, and then the other one where the exception would typically apply to is the secondary roads. I think with primary roads, wherever there are crosswalks, pedestrians should utilize, and wherever there aren't any, I think this is where public input can you know, be made, and that DPW can, I don't know whether they want to do a public hearing or just add additional crosswalks in areas that where we see frequent crossings, and so that way we can kind of distinguish, and then that may also address the exception concerns. Again, with secondary roads, while it may be easier to cross, this could also just be on the pedestrian to cross with caution and care, and for motorists to also be on the lookout. And then and so if members are okay with that, I can offer the motion, but I would also motion to amend the fine, and just again, leave it up to DPS, so that in the future we don't have to keep coming back and make amendments to the fee structure if it either becomes too much for the pedestrian or too little. That would kind of defeat the purpose of trying to deter pedestrians. But I'm open to further discussing if members have any, if members are
So
okay with the current language.
I see two motions there, possibly. Acknowledge Senator Cruz's concern. I think we should just, and Vice President, that we should, I don't see this being a lot of funds, so it really should just be divvied up between the relevant stakeholders that are going to be responsible for making sure that we prevent jaywalking, which is DPS and DPW, rather than it going to the general fund, as our Vice President mentioned.
Chair, can I request for a short recess, please?
Short recess. And we are back. This is the Senate Standing Committee on Public Utilities, Transportation and Communications. Currently discussing House Bill 24-5, House Draft 1, to establish provisions for jaywalking and for other purposes. Are there any motions regarding this bill? Recognize Floor Magnolia.
Thank you, Chair. I think at this time, we may I request that we invite DPS to come in so that we can further discuss how we can proceed with some of the language of the bill. I think there are some concerns that were brought up by all the members in terms of the citation, but also the exception to the proposed statute. And so at this time, Mr. Chair, I motion that we table this bill until we can get an audience with DPS.
Second.
Second.
Okay, there has been a motion. It's been seconded. So House Bill 24-5, House Draft 1 is hereby tabled.
Chair, before we move to recognize.
Recognize Senator
Yeah, before we
Hofschneider.
move, I respectfully ask that we also invite DPW.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Moving along to House Bill Item 2, under New Business, House Bill 24-49 to establish the CNMI Next Gen 911 telephone communication system within the CNMI and for other purposes. Are there any discussions regarding this House bill?
Mr. Chairman, if I may be recognized.
Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Thank you. It looks like we have a comment that is in order in support of such legislation in its current format. Unless there's other members that have recommendation for clarification on the bill. In the interest of time and the urgency of this particular legislation, I offer a motion to pass in its current form. If I'm in order.
Do I hear a second? Recognize Senator Cruz.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, in line with Senator Snyder, it's important that I think we should invite the commissioner to discuss over this bill, because I have some concern about whether or not if it's given to defense all the responsibility, whether completely will be handled by defense or also or even with DPS, because I have some concern regarding 911. I know this is for emergency call, but what if there's some criminal case in the call? No, who's going to answer those? I think we need to discuss this with both defense and DPS in regards to this, whether or not when it comes to criminal calls, it will just link to DPS and DPS will automatically be the one to respond on those 911 call. Are you back?
Senator Cruz, so Senator Hofschneider's motion was to pass in its current form. You seconded, but then your comments. Did you
I
want to?
apologize. I thought motion to table for further discussion. I apologize. I withdrew that second on that motion, Senator. I apologize. but this needs further clarification on who's to respond on criminal calls. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Yeah, valid concern. I agree with Senator Cruz. I do want to, however, because there's no objection from the members, we have a personnel from, gentleman from defense. Maybe if we can take a break and talk informally, or bring the individual in to further discuss this issue, and maybe he can be able to guide us with regards to the criminal 911 call.
Short recess. And we are back from recess. This is the Senate Public Utilities, Transportation, and Communications Committee. Currently on item 2 of the new business, discussing House Bill number 24-49 to establish the CNMI Next Gen Telephone Communication System within the CNMI and for other purposes. Are there any motions on this bill? Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Mr. Chairman, after much discussion on the issue, on the bill before us, I like to offer a motion to pass the legislation from committee.
Is there a second? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. The legislative assistant will prepare a committee report for the adoption of House Bill 24-49. Moving along. Yep. Clerk, please call the vote.
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo,
Yes.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz,
Yes.
Senator Jude U. Hofschneider,
Ungen.
Senator Karina L. Magofnia,
Yes.
Senator Donald M. Manglonia,
Yes.
Senator Manny Gregory T. Castro.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, all members present voted yes.
All right, so House Bill 24-49 is hereby adopted. Clerk, please prepare the committee report. Moving along to House Joint Resolution 24-11. Members, any questions, comments, discussion? House Joint Resolution 24-11 directing the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation and all relevant Commonwealth government agencies and public corporations to expedite planning, permitting, and development of viable renewable energy storage and resilience projects, and to coordinate energy security and infrastructure resilience strategies in light of the accelerated phase-out of federal clean energy incentives under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, authored by Representative Vincent R. Aldon. Short recess. We are back from recess. This is the Senate Public Utilities, Transportation, and Communications Committee discussing House Joint Resolution 24-11. Is there a motion? Recognize Senator Cruz.
Mr. Chairman, motion to adopt this House Joint Resolution 24-11. So move.
Is there a second? Second by Senator Jude. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo,
Yes.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz,
Yes.
Senator Jude U. Hofschneider,
Hungan.
Senator Karina L. Magofnia,
Yes.
Senator Donald M. Minglonia,
Yes.
Senator Manny Gregory T. Castro.
Ungan.
Mr. Chairman, all members present voted yes.
Given that all members voted yes, House Joint Resolution 24-11 is hereby adopted. Clerk, please prepare the committee report. Moving along to, given that there is no items on old business, we'll move to adjournment. Do I have a motion? Recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I respectfully ask if, before we adjourn, I just wanted to request to consider the legislation that I sponsored with regards to the special water rates for farmers and ranchers in the CNMI. I'm not certain if there was any response back from the stakeholders, but just staying consistent with the desire for my office to assist with these food producers here in the CNMI and to try and cost containment for them to remain viable to produce our food for our people. I respectfully ask that we revisit the legislation and consider entertaining it soon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back, and I'm ready for the question to adjourn.
Thank you, Senator Hofschneider. Duly noted. We will bring that back into our meeting at the next committee meeting. And moving along to adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so offered to adjourn this.
All right. So it has been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signifying by saying aye. All those opposed? The motion carries. This meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on Public Utilities and Communications is hereby adjourned. The time is, clerk, 3:25.